Hi, and welcome back to Focal Point AFR Talk. Great to have you in the conversation today. Now, I want to talk a little bit before we get into some of the political stuff. I got a lot of information I want to bring you on some of this polling data and kind of ease your fears about what you may have heard about this post-convention bounce that President Obama supposedly received. It's a non-existent bounce, ladies and gentlemen, does not exist. If you look at the Washington Post poll from today, and they, for the first time, polled likely voters, in other words, not just adults or not just registered voters, but actually likely voters, people that intend to go to the polls, and they found out that it's a dead heat. So fret not, ladies and gentlemen. All that post-convention bounce is just a big, giant myth being perpetuated by the mainstream media, which is completely in the tank for Barack Obama. Now, by the way, just before we get into the business about 9/11, Mitt Romney out there yesterday frantically all over himself trying to say, no, I want to repeal Obamacare in its entirety. And this justifies something that I have been saying. I think that we as conservatives, we must hold Mitt Romney's feet to the fire right now. And this shows that it works when we do it. The conservative outcry against Mitt Romney, who on Sunday said, hey, I like parts of Obamacare. I want to keep parts of Obamacare. I think there are some good parts of Obamacare, and the reality is there are no good parts of Obamacare. And so it made it look like Governor Romney was willing to just sort of amend Obamacare and just leach out what he thought were the worst parts rather than repeal the whole thing. Well, the outcry from the conservative community was so strong, it was so intense, it was so unified that almost immediately Governor Romney backed away, and now he's talking a different tune. No, we got to repeal the thing in its entirety. I didn't really mean what it sounded like I meant when it came to the pre-existing conditions. I was just talking about people that already have insurance. I don't want them to get bumped from their insurance when they take a new job. And the problem there is, well, that's been the federal law since 1996, so there's nothing new in that at all. But Governor Romney immediately kind of retracting what he had said on Sunday because the conservative community held his feet to the fire. So don't fret, ladies and gentlemen. This is not a bad thing when we do this. Now, some people are worried that we're going to discourage the base. We're going to discourage people from turning out. No, what we're doing is we're helping keep, it's kind of like bumper bowling. And what conservatives are for Mitt Romney is we're like those bumpers. You know when you got little 7-year-olds that go bowling and they put those bumpers in the gut, so it's impossible to roll a gutter ball because they throw a ball right toward the gutter and it just bounces off that bumper and redirects it into the lane where the ball ought to be. Now that's the role I see that social conservatives have right now for Governor Romney. He cannot be trusted to bowl in an alley that does not have bumpers in it. He can't be trusted with that. So we've got to make bowling for Mitt Romney a bumper bowling affair. We're there when he rolls a ball that's headed toward the gutter. We're to be there to bounce that ball back toward the bowling lane. So don't fret, don't fear. This is good for Governor Romney. As social conservatives hold him accountable, it actually improves his electoral chances because it'll bring him back to where he ought to have been all along. So don't fret. We're not going to discourage the base. We're not going to discourage turnout. We're going to give, if Governor Romney will listen to what conservatives are saying to him, then he will give more and more conservatives a reason to vote for him. So this is good for Governor Romney. This is good for his electoral chances. Now, we don't do that because we're trying to engineer a Romney victory. We're doing it because we want these candidates to stand for the truth. We want them to stand for what is right. And if we see a candidate that is moldable, that's maneuverable, if we see him drifting into the gutter and there's something that we can do to bring him back to a place where he's representing solid values, then that's something we want to do. So we're about turning bowling, the risky proposition of political bowling for Governor Romney, into a bumper bowling situation. Well, let's shift gears a little bit if we can and grab a